Hello friends, this is our Black Friday deal running through the weekend. 20% off individual courses utilizing the code listed here, as well as an additional 10% off the already 20% off bundle of both courses together. A lot of people are still waiting to get into the chat room and live stream community, and those that finish the courses get automatically added to an express list. But once you are on that list, you still need to go to the website membership page and sign up in one of the 2 spots that open up each day. Now, last week we had a day where both spots did not get filled. So you need to go to that website and stay persistent, stay patient, as we are doing this to ensure that we do not flood our chat room with new people, new questions. We're trying to keep it as productive and as efficient as possible. So keeping it to 2 people a day does that. We appreciate all the support. Let's get to the charts. Hello, Canadian MJ friends. Slipped on a razor last night, and this is what happened. Hope it comes back. Looking at CGC, ACB, APHA, KRON, TLRY. Tomorrow I'll probably put out a video with smaller cap names, mixture of US and Canadian. So we had a half day in the US today. So names closed early like TLRY, like CGC, and the US listed names. But the Canadian names kept trading. Not a whole lot of difference between the two. A little bit of upside once the US side of things closed. But all in all, it's a low volume holiday week, so we're going to get some more information coming up. But in the short term, we have some of these names that are looking all right. They're looking pretty good, actually. And TLRY and KRON stand out. Let's look at those two first. So TLRY had a bull break on the daily time frame today. We had the key support of $99, which ended up holding, so almost a double bottom of support. And the resistance, we held 99, hit resistance of 113.85, came back, held 99, and then broke that resistance of 113.85. So some decent little follow through there and a fairly strong close. We can see there's resistance 115, 116s, 119s. We made it up to the 117, so a little bit more resistance to get through. But the bottom line is the bulls now have a very clear uptrend on the hourly time frame, and today put some emphasis on that. Anything above 108.20 will maintain hourly higher lows. So we are due for a little bit of healthy consolidation on TLRY with all green candlesticks on the hourly time frame today. But the first period of consolidation that we see next week, the bulls should be able to maintain that hourly higher low. So on the daily time frame, now that we've changed this momentum, we zoom out to the weekly chart, and we can see that we had an inside bar bull break right at the end of the week. We don't have a good gauge on volume because it was the holiday week. And the question is, how much upside can the bulls get from that bull break? Obviously, the S&P 500 at this point is going to have an impact on that, as well as the sector as a whole. But in terms of where these major names are positioned, TLRY is ahead of the pack now because of that break. KRON is still in its nice tightening healthy pattern, but we still have to break one resistance here. And the higher low was formed at 770, and the bulls now need a break of 908. Breaking the high of yesterday was a good start, 875, got a little bit of follow through after that level, but we need to break that level of 908. And you can see how similar it is to TLRY, where we had our base, resistance, held support, and TLRY is just one step ahead of the game because it already got that bull break, where KRON still has to go a couple percent to get up to that resistance level. So when we consolidate on the daily time frame, KRON now has a little bit of space to work with because anything above 770 will keep the higher low intact. And that's actually a good amount of space. That's almost 12, 13% at this point. So both of those names looking pretty good. But then you look at CGC and it's not looking as good, keeping in mind that the real body of this candlestick would be a little bit bigger if we had the WEED kind of close. Let's just compare real quick. WEED, well, it actually had an upper wick there as well. It's not a strong follow through at this point. So what the bulls are going to have to do is what what KRON and TLRY did in terms of forming a support level, maintaining $40, holding that higher low, and then breaking this resistance level of 45.94, 46.10, a little bit of a double top at that area. So have to change the daily trend like TLRY has already done and like KRON is better positioned to do. So just to compare it to CGC, a little bit less data because it did not trade on Thursday. So again, we would have to pull back potentially. If we break 33.08 on Monday, we're going to look to pull back and form a higher low. The must hold support level is 30.26. Bulls could potentially bottom fish that level if we do consolidate. But again, you got to keep an eye on SPY. Apple is in free fall a bit. SPY is not giving us confidence, but the setup would be there for the potential higher low entry and then look for the bulls to change that momentum. Again, one step behind what TLRY and KRON are already doing. ACB also trying to do that same thing. So low, high, just barely held support, 744. Another lower high was set at 846, weak bounces, but here's the higher low attempt. Bulls would love if it were 790, the low of today, but we need more bounce follow through on Monday for us to be confident that that's our new daily higher low level. If the bulls show up Monday and break the high of today, 809, we will call that our higher low of 790. And again, it's what the bulls have to do, form the higher low, break the lower highs, shift the momentum the TLRY already has done. And last, APHA, it too is trying to build that support. We have the low, high of the bounce is resistance at 1238, the most important short-term level. We came back down, we held support. Now we have to head up and break that resistance. So everybody has a higher low attempting to form right now, and it's just TLRY that's one step ahead of the pack. So worth keeping an eye on. Watch that SPY video to see where we're positioned with the market overall. Today was a day that favored the Canadian MJ names, and we could say that and see that early on pre-market. And what I mean by that is when I'm looking at SPY and I see SPY is set to open $1 lower, and it ended up opening $2 lower than where it closed on Wednesday. So that's the start of the day. We have a gap down open on SPY. Yet Canadian MJ, like CGC, is set to open pretty much right where we closed Wednesday. So that tells me SPY is opening, let's just call it 2 steps back, and Canadian MJ is opening where it stood. So now the correlations, once the bell ring, pick up more significantly than whatever it's doing pre-market and extended hours. So we already have that 2-step head start. And then when SPY started to bounce this morning, the MJ sector goes with it to a certain degree. So we had that cushion, and we could say, all right, the correlation with the market this morning is favoring the bulls because we held up while the market took those 2 steps back. So I'm not really sure I explained that well. Let me know. That's the first time I've tried to explain that concept clearly, but that's what goes on through my head when I'm always wanting to know, is it a bullish correlation? Is it a bearish correlation? Because that tells me how much I need to pay attention to SPY, and that again tells me which direction I want to be looking. There have been plenty of times in the last 2 weeks where the correlations have favored the bears, and bull moves in SPY, the bulls don't do anything in Canadian MJ, and anytime SPY would pull back a little bit, it was like it was significantly affecting the sector. So we want to see more of that, obviously. That's less reliance on the S&P 500, which is showing a good bit of weakness still. And if we just compare it, let's do the compare on the daily time frame here. SPY in the background, CGC in the front. So again, we've been correlated very significantly. I would say extremely significantly since mid-October, and that was the sell the news reaction, and then we correlated. And you can see it's a slight little shift where we are holding up a little bit better today than SPY did, which dropped down and broke to a little lower low there, where Canadian MJ has not done that yet. So significant correlation still there, absolutely, but just noticing slight shifts. And again, bulls would love to keep this kind of correlation every single day to help them out, but we'll see if the bounce can get going. Another thing, watch the commodities video that I'm going to do this weekend. Oil is starting to become important. It always has been important. And this is just a quickie lesson where oil in the past has very significantly correlated with the S&P 500, where strong oil means strong market, weak oil means weak market. And there are times where the oil and the SPY chart literally trade tick for tick on the 5-minute time frame. We have seen completely linked correlations. We had a dump back in 2015 on SPY, and oil, I'm not going to find it here, oil marked the bottom. I have an old video called Tweets Moving Trillions. Oil marked the bottom of the market after an all-out market dump. And right now, while I'm saying this, it's all clicking in my head because, again, when I talk to you all, this is me getting out of my head. I'm normally in my head analyzing things. It now makes perfect sense. The last crash that I remember on SPY, I'm going to have to look at it now. Back in 2015, I believe it was February 2015, we had an all-out dump, and the oil bulls marked the bottom. And I'm wondering now if oil is going to mark the bottom of this current pullback, because look at the oil weekly time frame. It's been dumping for 7 weeks, and we look at SPY, and SPY weakness really started 7 weeks ago. This is 7 weeks ago right here, that big dump candlestick. So in my opinion, oil is going to be a really good canary in the coal mine to let us know when the market's going to bounce and when Canadian MJ is going to benefit from that market bounce. So next week, I'm watching oil like a hawk. Again, 7 weeks down, oversold. one of the bigger dumps that oil has seen in recent memory. There was certainly a big one back in 2014, but the daily time frame is just bear flag after bear flag, and we know a bounce is coming, perhaps a psychological flush of $50. But when this bounce gets going, we're going to look for the weekly time frame to bounce and set a lower high. We'll look for a potential, maybe a 15% bounce on this SPY, or I should say on this oil weekly time frame. If we see momentum shift on oil, if we see the market respond to that, we're going to be looking for Canadian MJ to benefit. So again, it seems like there's so much to watch. And the honest truth is, if you want to have a complete grasp on everything, yes, there are a bunch of things to watch. And that's why we're going to help out doing so. So every weekend I do a commodities video, and I will certainly be mentioning it more this coming week in my SPY videos, as it is now more important for me. So that's enough rambling. I'm off topic. Canadian MJ, keep an eye out for the next video. Do good things. Video here at the end of the day is something I dug up, and we're in the redwoods in the middle of nowhere, having a rave with my buddies, and they were flashing. There was whiskey involved. They were flashing lights, and there was two giant redwood trees in front of us, and my shadow was 30 feet tall projected, and unfortunately you can't see that. You just see me dancing around, and pretty funny to look back upon. So thanks again. Lots to watch next week, and we will be here all week.